All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. My name is Trevor, and I am your one-armed bandit in the bush, coming to you today from Loveland, Colorado, where we're attending Overland Expo West Mountain Exposition here. And as you can see, we're out camped where all of the rigs, to be quite frank, look different. So in today's episode, we're going to do a review of another fascinating, stunning build. In fact, a vehicle that I've always admired. It is, in fact, another Tundra, and it is a 5.7 V8. It is a 2007, so we know that, in fact, this is a million-mile vehicle, quite easy. But to hear a little bit more about this use case and this build out, again, not brawn, not beef, but the brains that went into the build. So it's the last two B's that we're interested in. Brains in the build, not beef and brawn in the build. So let me introduce you to Tim. Ironically, Tim is parked on the Timo side of Pumba. So that was just a pure coincidence. And that is the way that we rolled into camp when we arrived here on Thursday. So Tim, welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Thanks for agreeing to do a quick walk around of your vehicle and share with us your build out and your learning experiences. But a stunning vehicle. Absolutely love this rig. Why don't you talk us through your experience from when you purchased it, your initial thoughts, and where you're at now with this vehicle?
Certainly. When I originally started out the build, my goal was to have a lightweight, capable off-road vehicle, but still have comfort. I guess for everybody that would have those questions in mind, there would be a different point on where that would end. You know, do you have a Jeep? Do you have something really big? You know, comfort versus off-road capability. So for my purposes, this met the ticket of that balance. So somewhat off-road capable, but still comfortable. You want me to just start from
Yeah,
there?
well, so just starting off in the front here, one of the interesting things, if you look at it in terms of use case, is clearly a massively capable off-road vehicle in its stock standard form. This vehicle's been raised. Do you have any additional traction control mechanisms, lockers in this vehicle?
It has front and rear lockers, and I also carry max traction boards.
So in the last video that we did, you will recall I was saying that, you don't necessarily need traction boards if you have a winch. Well, here's a good case of you don't really need a winch if you have one of these and you got lockers front and rear. I would argue, provided on the use case, and if you're not doing very serious wheeling, you don't need a winch on one of these.
That's a key point, yes.
Yeah. So have you ever had to use your traction boards?
Never.
There we go. So another case of that. All right, but would you like to maybe just keep going with the use case? I see there's a wee boost up there.
Yeah, the Wii Boost is very helpful. I hear mixed comments on it, but for my purposes, I've noticed when there is a signal and it's a weak signal and I can't download movies or download a text, the Wii Boost makes up the difference and makes capable when there wasn't capability before.
All right, excellent. So let's talk to the highlights of this build from your perspective.
Sure.
Walk us through it and we'll follow you around.
Actually, I would say the first thing is the engine and the fact that I haven't modified it in any way. Reliability is key when you're way out in the middle of nowhere. So that, to me, in my opinion, the less modifications you have to your engines, the better. I'm still kind of on the fence about a winch. I know the only drawback to me is the added weight that it puts on there. I'm very weight conscious. But then on the other hand, if you needed one, it'd be nice to have. So honestly, I'm just kind of on the fence on that one.
Yeah. What's interesting on that point, you've gone lockers front and rear. I don't. I've kept my traction system the same. So I'm just relying on the traction control.
Right.
And hence I went for a winch because of that. I didn't want to put lockers on to
Okay.
add the weight.
Yep.
So I would even argue that in your case, having gone the way that you did, if it was me, I would say there's no real business case for a winch on this vehicle.
I do have one other fallback. I carry a high lift jack, which I understand are very controversial. But the thing about it, it can hook into any tire and lift the tire up.
Yeah.
And then so that you can, put a traction board or things underneath it. So that is a fallback in case I were to get stuck.
And of course, you do have the ratchet on the
You
on the high
can,
lift jack.
again, very controversial.
It takes a long time. I've used it.
Yes.
I've tried to recover a vehicle out of a muddy situation. Unfortunately, as I was pulling the ratchet, I pulled the tree out of the mud, and so that didn't work too well
Okay.
for me.
All right.
But let's keep going.
And then also we have the ditch lights. So when you're looking for camp late at night, you want to be able to see out to the sides. These they're not narrow beams; they're wide beams, so that you can see, you know, everything that you need to see when you're looking for camp late at night. I use yellow lights for the bottom, so they cut through the dust, but not necessarily necessary on the side lights, so I kept with the white.
Right. So in comparison to Pumbaa, the wheelbase on this truck, if you come around this side, Melissa, tell us, in the choice of the vehicle, you've gone with a short wheelbase, which brings a significant amount of off-road capability that the long wheelbase wouldn't in given situations. Tell us how you got to the choice.
Yeah, if you notice, there's only one door on this truck, so it's a regular cab, much shorter wheelbase, more capable off-road in terms of you know, turning ability, and lighter weight. Uh, Tundras for single regular cabs, I've never seen them. They're very hard to come by, but I know that Ford and Chevy and different trucks, they do offer them actually brand new nowadays.
Yeah, in my searches, most of them that I came across were unfortunately two-wheel drive. So you're right, very difficult to find a four-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah.
So let's take a look up top there. Very interesting in terms of the selection and the way you've gone with that.
Yeah, we went with a four-wheel camper. The whole camper itself weighs 420 pounds, and that's with all the options that were included, which is the awning is one of the options. So relatively lightweight. You can't tell from this angle, but it's actually a topper. It's not a slide-in camper, which again, lightweight. I'm very weight conscious when it comes to the build.
Yes.
When you're off-roading, you want to be as lightweight as possible.
All right, excellent. So would you like to maybe take us around towards the back of the rig and show us where all your action is, because you got some
Can I show you this
stuff
real quick too?
Yes, please do.
Well, this may be a bad angle for it. I stripped out the back and I put in extruded aluminum 80/20, so you can basically bolt on any way that you would want to bolt on to the back. You want to take advantage of every square inch that you could possibly do. There's my high lift jack, and also notice that I keep an air tank versus a air compressor, I understand that's a controversial choice. That 10-pound tank will fill up 48 of my size tires, and then I also have some smaller bottles to go with that. But I find this very user friendly, and everything's got its place. And you notice this is my wife's area. She keeps all of her extra clothes back there.
Very, very clever use of space.
Thank you.
All right, Melissa, do you want to come out and around as we come down this side?
I added this shelf for extra space as well. But I would say this is actually one of the items that I installed that was I never used. You know, if I could go back in time, I don't know that I would do it. It doesn't hurt anything. You know, it folds up nice, and I got a nice sticker on it. But you know, not so sure I would do that again. I also put in shore power. So if we're at a campground, I could plug in from the outside and recharge the batteries that we have.
Excellent. So given that you've installed an external point for electricity, and given what I see going on here, that you have a massive amount of solar charging capability, tell us a little bit about how you use this rig. Occasionally, once a month, or what's the use case?
The original idea was to be a weekend, well, maybe 2-3 weeks at a time. But then situations change as they do. And I convinced my wife to retire, sell the home, and live full-time in this wonderful vehicle. And being the trooper that she is, she agreed to do it. And to my surprise, 6 months and she still hasn't put the kibosh on it yet. Because I told her, at any time you want to quit, just say it and we'll go buy a house and we'll be normal people again. But 6 months and we're still rolling strong.
It's quite amazing that two folk in a row that we met. One in Moab, one in Loveland, two in a row. Both have moved from a conventional lifestyle to a full-blown overland lifestyle. I think that might be testament for those of you that are looking at this as a way of healing your life, as a way of fulfilling your life, as a way of adding more life to your life. Overlanding is a fantastic option, and the bug will bite you to the extent that as you look up and down the rigs around here, irrespective of your ability in life, this is a wonderful, wonderful option. But let's keep going. This is a fantastic build. Let's come look out the back.
Oh, okay.
A lot of clean space. A lot of clean space. You've managed to create a lot of space in the back of this vehicle. Tell us a little bit about it, because there's so much in here, yet so much space.
Well, one of our first trips, we had bags back here. And every time we would stop and camp, everything had to come out. And then at the end, everything had to go back in. So one of the first things that we installed was a drawer system. And this is one of the things where I had to compromise on weight, because this is relatively heavy. Goose Gear is a great manufacturer, very high quality. But now everything has its place. 2 drawers with all of our things. There's our, little spoons or whatever you need is in here.
Did you make these dividers yourself, or did that ship with the drawers?
No, actually, I had to search long and wide to find something on Amazon that would fit. And fortunately, I found something that worked. Like this isn't Overland related at all.
Right. Very clever. I see you have a number of pouches installed against the side of your vehicle there that look like it could make for a great wardrobe.
Yes. Again, Amazon, all of those are Velcroed to the side of the camper, and they all just have our clothes in them. And they're lightweight, easy to remove, and they work. Like this is one of the best Amazon purchases I think we've ever come across.
Fantastic. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the way you chose and selected your power for suiting your needs?
So I have a Jackery 1500 that powers mainly the refrigerator freezer combo, the National Luna. And then I have a separate Jackery up on the side there that's a Jackery 1000 that just kind of charge your phones, the air fryer, just any other thing that you might want to use electricity for. And it could also be a backup for the big one.
So when you talk air fryer, now you're starting to talk household appliances that start to bring an extra level of luxury to camping.
Yes.
Do you ever find that with that amount of power on board that you are challenged using conventional household appliances that would have a higher draw on your battery system?
Well, when using the air fryer, you have to use it to reheat food, not necessarily to cook it. So if you sliced up a raw potato, the amount of energy it would take to cook that wouldn't work here. But if you had frozen French fries, then yes, then something like that it's just a matter of reheating it. Works fantastic.
All right. So what you're really talking about here is air dry to reheat, not hair dry to completely dry. Because I'm assuming a hairdryer would really kill the battery.
Oh, a hair dryer? No, you could use a hair dryer with that. Okay. I mean, you would cut down. It's just a matter of how quickly you can restore the electricity. But my wife has a hair dryer and she has a curler, so you can use a hair dryer.
Okay.
And that's part of convincing her to live full time, so she could keep. Is it a
12-volt hair dryer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, these units have an inverter, so it's a standard household appliance plug-in.
Excellent. And then up top there, very big, very comfortable looking sleeping quarters. I look at your sleep pads, I look at your mattress. That looks like a normal bed.
Yeah, it is a normal bed. It's a king size bed with 2 sleeping bags, and you can buy a custom mattress to any width, length, or even thickness that you want. And it's working out fantastically.
I love that your rig has a lot of privacy, because when I look into the rig itself from the outside or standing here, I don't see any point where you might have a concern for your privacy or even your safety when you're out on trail?
No, if you notice, in fact, let me get in there and show you. So the windows, I just have a button system. So when I'm driving, I can see through. But at night, we pop that up to have our privacy. And then again, we have the same thing on the back window.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, it's fantastic. So you can see, folk, there's a place for everything and everything in its place. And if you're going to live an overland simplistic lifestyle, that becomes even more important, because those are the things that add to the pleasure. You don't have to search for things. You can see everything is neatly packed and very, very easy to reach or to get to. Are there any other key features you'd like to point out on the camper?
I have an extra suitcase back here for just extra supplies. This is our laundry bag we keep here. And whoa, this here is our shower. I can, this has 4 or 5 gallons of water in here. You can do air pressure to make it work. And then I put a probe in here to heat it. It's an electric water heater. You plug it in. 10 minutes later, you got hot water, and you have a hot shower.
Excellent. I noticed that you make good use of instruments to check temperature, whether that be cooking or looking at a fire, etc. You showed me you have two separate types of gauges for monitoring temperature.
Right.
Do those come in really handy? Would you recommend something like that?
Not necessarily. I think that's more of a personal preference, because I like to, when I'm cooking my steak, I'll use a temperature gauge to see what temperature my scuttle, I have a scuttle, is. And then also coffee, you know, make sure it's at the right temperature before I put in the coffee. It's supposed to be like 200 degrees. But oddly, I found out when we were in the mountains, it was boiling before 200 degrees because it's a higher elevation. Water boils at a cooler temperature. So this didn't help me.
Interesting. Water system for water on board. I've noticed you using water very easy, very simplistic.
Yes. So the water tank is right here underneath the trash can. This is just a bucket, by the way, with a little net on it. Underneath the trash can is a water tank. It's only 5 gallons, but it's routed down to the bottom where you could just turn a valve and have water come out. And then instead of that spout, what I'll do is I'll connect this fitting here, and you could connect a water hose to it so it fills from the bottom up.
Okay, that's very, very, very clever indeed. So it is amazing at how much you can actually achieve through something that is as simplistic as that. Yet think of functionally how much easier that makes your life, because water is something you're constantly wanting to refill. And that's a great demonstration of brains over brawn. And then I see you do have an insert on the tailgate.
Yeah, I ordered a piece of metal off of metals.com. I cut it myself, and so I can have a flat surface to work on making coffee and food and different things. And then I just recently had it powder coated, because the problem was I would get the reflection from the sun and it kept blinding me. So we had it powder coated black.
Okay, excellent. All right. Any other favorite features you'd like to point out for us?
Yeah, just the last thing is the aluminum structure that you see at the back. It's a fuel tank slash tool box. Let's see, I can open it backwards. So I have tools in here, but then at the bottom, it has a fuel tank that you could fill externally from the outside if you wanted to.
Yes,
take a peek at that.
I would like to finish off at that point.
Okay.
All right.
Just everything, I mean, has its place. And like you Velcro something on here and the Velcro would come off this plastic. So I came up with, there's a VHb tape that's crazy permanent tape that I used. So I never had the problem of this peeling off ever again with that VHb tape.
Excellent. So I think as you're coming out, would you like to talk to us a little about this propane solution you have? Because I haven't seen this on too many vehicles. Neither the tank nor the way that you've installed them, one on each side. Really like what you've
Yeah,
done
it's
there.
it's very unique. I've never seen anybody else that had that. Um, it just this size propane tank fit where it needed to be, so it was just a matter of creating the bracket. The actual bracket came from Power Tank, a company. All I had to do was shave it down on both sides because it was too wide, and then I just bolted it to the jack mounts on the trailer right here.
Okay,
And then I have a little deterrent, theft deterrent there.
excellent. I'd like to just conclude this by looking at the fuel tank, the auxiliary fuel tank, because this is really, really cool. So just as before Tim explains what he's done here, you in the back of my truck, I'm carrying a 15-gallon fuel reservoir that comes with its own hand pump. So effectively kind of forms a backup tank for me. But think of how impractical that is. One, when I fill it, I need to lift the batwing. I got to get the hose through the batwing. So I got to climb into the back of the truck. I got to have that thing laying flat. And then I got to carefully check it. When it comes time to use it, I need to slide it off the back of off the top of my deck drawer system, stand it upright, and then pump the fuel. So that's the process I would go through every single time I wanted to utilize extra fuel when I'm out there. Now, let's take a look at this solution.
So what I've had done is an external fuel port that goes into the tank that's inside the truck. Inside the truck, it's completely self-contained. You fill it from the outside, and then once it's in there, there's two valves that I have set up so it can drain half at a time from the top tank down to the bottom. In the bottom, I've got 25 gallons, and in the top, I've got 25 gallons. So that doubled my range, because these Tundras are they're not known for their fuel economy. The name of this component right here, it was actually a separate component, is Hagen. And if you're interested, and it was just a piece that is meant for hot rods, like builders of hot rods. And you can get them in different curvatures. Like this one already came to the curvature that I needed. There's some of them are flat, they have a wide variety of different components. So I just took that component to a good body guy and asked him to put this here. And he did. And he ended up having to repaint the whole quarter panel. So it wasn't cheap, but in my mind, it was well worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tundras, certainly I've found with my rig now fully loaded, I've almost got to carry extra fuel to make it to the next gas station.
Yeah.
It gets that kind of bad. And then once you hit wind, it's a serious problem. But there you go. Now think of how functional and how much easier that is. And over and above that there is actually a management system in play that helps to maximize how low Tim can get the weight in his vehicle as he manages his use of fuel. Because that's really important when you're overlanding, in particular, once you get off grid. You want to get your weight as low as possible.
Right, low and forward, because I see a lot of weight on these things way at the back. And that's not good either.
No. Tim, thank you so much.
Sure.
Really enjoyed the walk around.
Sure.
Fantastic build.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing that with us. So, folks, there you go. This is one killer of a Tundra bull. See you on the next one.